Throughout the history of our beloved country, women have played a vital role. Women have always been there during our turbulent history. Now, following the horrific events during and since the White Rock Parade, women from Belfast decided to band together and take action ourselves. We have watched Ireland. Republicans have benefited from the Good Friday Agreement as the government announced the disbandment of the home battalions of the Royal Irish Rangers, as police stations are closed, as watchtowers are demolished, as our young men and women are discriminated against as they seek to get jobs, as the Provosts return home forgiven by Tony Blair, as the Columbia Three walk free when they should be in jail, as the child murderer Sean Kelly was freed by the Secretary of State to keep the Provosts happy, as the schools our children attend are underfunded and face closure, as our culture has been eroded. As a group we demand open and effective and accountable policing, unlike the sham we have now. Equality in the allocating of funding. Schools funded on an equal basis and kept open. Social housing provided in working class areas and in the rural community. The cancellation of on-the-run legislation and an acknowledgement from the government that they have been biased in implementing the Good Friday Agreement. Funding to support and encourage our culture. As a group of determined women, Unionist women from across Belfast, we seek to have these injustices put right for all our community. I am calling upon women from across Ulster to stand shoulder to shoulder with us as we move forward and challenge the government and the statutory bodies to meet our civil rights. We have nothing to fear and nothing to lose by standing together, only everything to gain.
Heard.
Well, I think it was just after the issues over the last lot of days that women now think that they have to take a stand. And it's Protestant women all over Belfast at the minute, but hopefully further afield will come out together. We're all suffering the same by the PSNI in our areas, and our culture's just been taken from us. And the likes of the British government are talking about money here, and they'll see where the money goes. Money won't solve the problem. That's not what our protests are about. Our protests are to be able to identify with our own culture. We're being humiliated on all sides by the government, and the women just aren't going to take any more of it. They're going to stand firm together. We went to the policing board. We knew Hugh Ord would be there, but he wouldn't come and speak to us. But the chair of the policing board spoke to myself and a few other ladies, and we told him our grievances with the police. And at the end of it, he just told us to take anything through the ombudsman, which we are going to do now. Every time something happens, we're going to go through the ombudsman. It's just we're having problems. The PSNI officers won't give us their number. You know, we're finding it a bit difficult being able to identify the officers that are carrying this out.
So what sort of incidents are you talking about? What sort of things are we talking about here?
Well, in the Woodvale area, it's gone well beyond swearing. It's crude language to young children. They're deliberately taunting the people. We did have an incident last week where it took over 30 Land Rovers to come in to take 6 children out of a house. And it was really awful. The police, they were all there in their full rat gear and what the women and children to take from them. And there was altogether 100 and odd officers carrying out that operation.
And this is on one family home?
This is on one. Apparently the helicopter had identified young lads thrown over the wall onto the Crumlin Road where the police were. And they came in, busted the door in and went in to get the children, then formed a human chain to bring them out one at a time, put them all into separate Land Rovers, but there was well over 100 officers in that operation.
And all that expense just for to arrest 6 young people?
Yeah, that was it. They left the area at 2:45 on the Tuesday morning, and as people were dwindling to go home, 2 Land Rovers came up
This was
Ohio Street again.
Where was this exactly?
This happened in Rosebank Street, but there were 28 Land Rovers in Ohio Street alone. And then they left the area, people were going to their homes, then 2 Land Rovers came back in again, pumping and they were waving out at the people. You know, they're just antagonising all the time.
And I mean, given the constraints that Hugh Ord's always complaining he has to work under, it seems a bit crazy that dispatching that many vehicles and crews for such a simple operation.
Does
when
indeed.
He says he has no resources.
No, this is it. They were all in the Woodville that night.
I believe you questioned the Secretary of State on his recent visit to Lisburn.
Yes, that was on Monday. I questioned him on the release of Sean Kelly back onto our streets. And I asked him, would the London bombers be free in 6.5 years? He couldn't answer that. He did say that it was just an indication to anyone reoffending that they would be put back inside again. But does that mean for 6 weeks, like Sean Kelly was put back in for 6 weeks? I also told him that I was not a thug or a gangster, that I was a working class Protestant and demanded my rights. And I also challenged him on the parades, because I don't feel orange men should walk through industrial estates. They should be able to walk on the Queen's Highway